We have spoken a lot about the various functions and responsibilities that a DPO has. In this video, we are going to talk about his accountability with respect to ensure that his organization is able to meet privacy and compliances. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you have been getting a new content on data privacy on a daily basis. We spoke about this, DPO's roles. What are they? Regulatory compliances with respect to privacy. Risk management, again with respect to privacy. He has to find out what is going wrong and what is the possible risk of things going wrong. He has to help the organization build trust with the data subjects whose data is being processed, which largely is going to be customers, but also there will be vendors as well as the internal employees. And then he has to ensure that his organization is able to adapt to global standards. What is he accountable for? He is accountable for all the legal requirements related to data privacy. He is accountable to ensure that he is able to follow the compliance related best practices in day-to-day operations in his organization. And most important, he is accountable for breach management. He is accountable for giving a timely response back to the data subject about the breach, its impact, how is the organization is controlling the impact of breach and what are they going to do for mitigating it, and responsible or accountable to be answerable to the regulators on the breach, its impact, and ensuring that it does not happen again. Let's get into a bit of a detail on each of these. What about complex global regulations? As we discussed earlier as well, smallest of organizations do have global operations, even if it is only through their website and collecting the user information through cookies. They are still required to follow certain privacy norms. They are too small and they may not be into the direct circle of privacy regulations, but they have to ensure that they are adhering to the privacy compliances if they are capturing data outside their geography. So the DPO of an organization is responsible and accountable for the local as well as the global compliances. Non-compliance in any case is very hefty penalties. For example, GDPR says 4% of your global turnover. So what actions can he take? He should ensure that his policies are updated very regularly. His processes are up to date along with the policies and in each of the regions of the country he works in or his organization works in. He performs regular audits to ensure that the compliances are met. Audits will give him learning of the gaps. Audits will help him perform risk assessment, and with that knowledge he can improve his processes to ensure that he is compliant or his organization is compliant. Then his accountability in terms of management reporting. He is responsible to let the management know what is happening in terms of privacy. The stakeholders, the regulators, both managements need to be involved by him, and he is responsible to respond back to them. If not, then he will lose his personal trust with the senior management, and that can take his job as well, right? So what should he do? He should update his regular compliance reports. He should build a metric or a set of matrices to calculate the privacy, a clear definition of how these are being measured, and should show a regular improvement in the privacy matrices to gain confidence of his management and stakeholders that he is adhering to the privacy norms. And further, to ensure that he is doing his job well, he should maybe get third-party reviews on his processes or third-party audits either on processes or the entire DBIAs on the privacy audits itself. Organizational accountability. Privacy is not a one-man show. It is not something that you will give me some data and I will work on it and respond back with a report. It's a culture. So he is accountable to all the departments, and he has to make sure that all the departments are also accountable to the organization and to the processes related to privacy. If not, then as I mentioned, privacy is not a one-man show. If the organization is non-compliant, severe penalties and bad reputation, a very, very simple thing. So he should create training programs for all the departments, process specific, department specific, role specific training programs, regular awareness on privacy, and these awareness and training programs should involve some examples from various breach cases that he has dealt with or he has read about in some other organization, and he can use them as a training mechanism in his organization to make people aware that non-compliance could be very, very risky. Data breach management, he is accountable, and that's the most important role, because accountability does not stop at just making processes or monitoring processes. The actual accountability is how you handle a situation when things go wrong, right? Things will go right otherwise, right? Important is what do you do when they actually go wrong. So how is he accountable and how does he handle that portion of time? Because he is supposed to meet his timelines. GDPR says you have an incident, study it, qualify it into a breach, study the impact, inform the DSRs, that is the data subjects, think about how can you mitigate the risk and minimize the impact, and come to the regulators with the problem as well as the solution. Just report it to them, and GDPR gives you a total of only 72 hours to do the entire process. So he has to be very, very careful about handling day-to-day operations. That breach is something which is more important. Not like a situation where there is an incident or a breach and you put it under the carpet. You don't even report about it, right? That's very risky. So impact, if you mishandle a breach, if the non-reporting of breach itself is a penalized and a commercial penalty by any and all regulations. So the resolution, you should have a well-defined breach response plan. Prior to that, you should have a well-defined incident management plan or a breach detection plan as well. So you should oversee the investigation that happens post a breach has happened, do a impact assessment thoroughly when a breach happens or immediately after a breach happens, and create the mitigation measures to ensure that this breach does not happen in your organization again. Large organizations that do get data processed outside their organization or do deal with a lot of third parties, they are accountable for compliances of third parties, especially if the data processing is done by the third parties, which could be very, very small examples like sending birthday gifts to all your potential customers, right? So if your third party misuses the address provided by you, then that could be a challenge for you as well. So you are accountable for their compliances. Of course, this is a very small example. At a larger scale, in multinationals, there could be much larger examples. So you are accountable to them, your customers, as well as the regulators. And the resolution to handle this is to have a very strict vendor contract. All privacy terms and norms to be included there to ensure that there is a proper breach response team or breach response plan that even the vendor has. And you should also ensure that if it's overseas vendor, then the standard contractual clauses are inbuilt into the contract that you sign with the vendor, so that if there is a vendor related breach, then you are at least clear about what role you had in the breach and what role the vendor had in containing the breach. And you should conduct regular vendor audits to ensure that the chances of breach are minimized. So these are some of the accountability things that a DPO has towards his job, towards his organization. There are certain things that help him do these, regular internal audits, process upgrades and updates. Whenever you come to know that there is a change in the rule, whenever you see that your organization is pulling up new kind of personal information to process or a new purpose of processing personal information, you should update your processes. You should build privacy by design organization. Everything that anyone does in the organization takes care of privacy by design. You don't need to do anything extra on that. Perform regular privacy impact assessments within the organization, identify the risks, update your processes to ensure that the risks are taken care of, reassess all the data processing processes that you do within your organization, and conduct data protection impact assessments to take care of the working. Also take external reviews, take external audits from time to time. Maybe you get the DPI done once in a year by an external agency, so that they can impartially validate whether your processes and your breach handling is compliant with the global as well as the local compliance mechanisms. What is the consequence or impact if the DPO does not turn out to be accountable? The organization's reputation is at stake. Customers will lose trust because if their personal information is not being used for the purpose it has been collected, there would be severe penalties, as we have been regularly talking about it. And in the next few days, I'll try and pick up a few examples across the globe where breaches have happened and DPOs have been paying very heavy fines either by themselves or their organizations. So severe penalties, personal reputation damage, and personal risk of litigations. You are involved in it, you were responsible for it, right? So even if it is not a direct case on you, but you are involved in day-to-day handling of the legal matters as well. So that is what we have on accountability of a DPO. A DPO should be very well prepared with his processes, be ready for anything, and ensure that in case there is a breach, it is assessed on time, impact is known, mitigation steps are known, and the regulators are informed on time. I hope you liked my video, so press like and bell icon. Share this video with your friends who would like to gain knowledge on data privacy. Subscribe to my channel and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.